everybody, what is up? It's your host, Marco Alvarado. I welcome all of you, my fellow closers, to close out the week with me here on Closing Out the Week. I'm closing out your week in style with some stories that are pertinent to the week, this previous week. It's been a crazy one in the US of A. It's been a weird week. A lot of conservatives are dying from not wearing masks after they make remarks saying, I don't wear no masks. And I'm talking specifically about Herman Cain, the sex offender himself, who had to literally drop out of the 2016 race to be the Republican nominee because of so many sexual assault allegations levied against him. He just dropped out. People forget. So rest in peace, Herman Cain, if you can find peace wherever you are. And also the co-founder of the co-founder of Turning Point USA, a right-wing, arguably far-right wing, like blog or, news outlet. If you could even call them a real news outlet. It's more of just like a student group, really. But Bill Montgomery passed away after posting a meme on Turning Point USA, mocking people who wore masks. And he passed away from complications due to COVID-19, I believe, on Wednesday. Both gentlemen died on Wednesday. So wear your masks. That's not even the first story, honestly. That's just a little teaser for you. Just how crazy this week's been. So we have those men dying. But the first story that I want to get to is that Trump says that with mail-in voting, it could take years to know who won the election. So let's see. What does he say? President Trump on Thursday evening claimed that if more people are able to vote by mail, it could take years to find out the winner of the 2020 presidential election. On Thursday morning, Trump floated the possibility of postponing the election rather than letting more people vote by mail amid the pandemic. Under the Constitution, though, Congress has the power to set the date for voting, and Trump's idea was quickly batted down by Republican leaders. During a press conference later the day, Trump tried to create doubt over how states will distribute mail-in ballots, and he said he wants to know the results of the presidential election on November 3rd, saying, I don't want people to see that take place in a week after, or frankly with the litigation and everything else that could happen, years, or you never even know who won the election, he says. So basically what he's trying to do is buy himself more time so that way he can make up for his atrocious 4 years in office and hopefully sway people over so he could stay in. But that's not going to happen because luckily for us, fortunately for us as Americans, our institutions are so strong in this country that, if this was some a third world country with institutions that were weaker, it would be so easy for Trump to just kind of like stay in office and not really regard the populace and just stay in there, basically become a dictator. It'd be so easy for him to do that in another country. But because, fortunately, our institutions are very steadfast and strong as they stand right now, he's not going to be able to postpone the election as much as he would love to. But be warned, when he loses, if he does, he's going to question and delegitimize the results of the presidential election. And he's going to get all of his supporters, his diehard supporters, to question and not accept the results of his loss. If he does, which it's looking like he will, because that leads us into our second story of this episode. And that is that a poll puts Biden over Trump in 6 swing states. So a new poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden with a lead over President Trump in 6 key swing states. In May, a poll from Redfield and Wilton Strategies put Biden, the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee, ahead of Trump in 6 states. Trump won in 2016. Arizona, Florida, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Redfield and Wilton Strategies July poll shows Biden still ahead in all of those states and even widened it in Arizona, Florida, and Michigan. Biden maintained his 10-point lead in Wisconsin over the past 2 months, but lost traction in North Carolina, where he has had a 45-43 lead over Trump in May, but has a 43-42 lead as of July. In Pennsylvania, where his margin fell from 48 to 39 to 48 to 41. So that means that, we're not out the woods yet, okay? Biden is leading in some swing states, but we're not out of the woods yet, people. We don't know. And as for what I think about this whole election, am I excited to vote for Joe Biden? Hell no. I am not excited to vote for that guy. But, there's a little thing called balance, right? And that's what our country prides itself on, having a balanced system. You don't swing too far right. You don't swing too far left. You stay kind of in the middle, you see. And right now, we are pretty fucking far right. We are. You can look to just how strong our military structure is in this country, and how much funding there is to the military, which is a social program, but far more conservative people are in favor of keeping the budget as it is. That's just one example, okay? But we are in Trump's president, for Christ's sake. So right now, we are pretty far right. So we need to swing that pendulum the other way. And it's looking like there's some Supreme Court justices that may pass away in the next couple of years. We got to be ready for that. If the Supreme Court justice flips, or not even flips, if it bolsters its conservative leanings, it's going to make things very difficult in this country going forward for the next 30 years, probably. It's going to be difficult to pass any sort of progressive legislation, make any sort of progress in terms of policy. So that is why I am voting for Joe Biden. That's solely why. I don't like him, or whoever his VP is probably going to be. I'm probably not going to like her either. He said earlier in the year that he's going to select a vice president that is a female, that is a woman. So we're still waiting. Some people think it's going to be Kamala Harris because I believe Politico accidentally leaked what could have been knowledge, right? Their knowledge of Joe Biden already picking Kamala Harris, because there was a page that was uploaded onto their website a couple days ago that already had quotes from Joe Biden saying why he selected Kamala Harris as his running mate, and had that date for August 1st, which was Saturday. Is that going to come to fruition? We will see. But it wouldn't surprise me if he decides to go with Kamala Harris. She seems to be the front runner. I don't like her either. I am pretty far left, not super far left, but relative to the American political landscape, which is pretty, you have the Democrats who are center right, and you have the Republicans who are right. When you're looking at those two parties, I am left of both of those parties. So I don't like either, the fabric that makes up both of those parties. I do not cloth and dress myself in that fabric. Okay? I'm sorry, but I am not that way. But luckily for us, the political talk is now over. We have something fun to talk about. And that, fun for me, is the NBA is back. It is officially back. Tonight, we saw the Utah Jazz play against the New Orleans Pelicans in a pretty close game. Utah squeaked out the victory, 106-104. Everyone on Twitter was pulling for the Pelicans, it seemed. I, as a Sacramento Kings supporter, I'm not a fan of the team, but I am a supporter because it's my city. I, as a Sacramento Kings supporter, was pulling for Utah because it would help them in seeding. It'd make it easier for the Kings to get into a playoff spot. So it was a really, really awesome time to be able to watch the NBA again. And I just want to talk about the significance of it. I don't know how it was for you, my fellow closer who is listening to this. I don't know how it was for you back in March when everything shut down. But the first time for me that I realized that this shit was very, very serious, and that it was going to affect my life in a lot of ways, was when the NBA shut down. That was like the marker for me, at least. And I know for a lot of people, a lot of my friends, that was the point where in which we were all like, okay, it's real. And to see the NBA back, especially given everything that's happened since that point, everything with Black Lives Matter, everything with Trump now, COVID is just getting worse because people don't want to be considerate. Just with everything, it honestly kind of almost brought a tear to my eyes seeing the NBA back, because what it signifies at least is that we can have some semblance of the before times. To a degree, it is possible. These things are possible, and the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar organization, whatever you want to call it, but they have billions of dollars at their disposal to create a bubble like this, and to be able to come back in these conditions, make sure that everybody is tested within that bubble, make sure that everyone's safe. They can do that, which is cool, but it makes me wonder the future of other sorts of entertainment, such as music. I am a musician, as most of you know, who have listened to this podcast, and it makes me wonder, would a music festival be able to do the same sort of thing? Obviously, limit the number of people who could be in there. Totally just close it off and like force people to quarantine for a week prior or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas right now. There's not really like a news story that I can read off pertaining to the NBA, but it gave me hope. It inspired me, and it made me, for the first time in a long time, feel like, okay, we can get out of this. There is a way that we can get out of it, but it's gonna be a long road. But as long as we have things like the NBA to kind of get us through these weeks and months, and hopefully football can pull its shit together, and baseball can pull its shit together. They had some the Miami Marlins had some COVID cases that shut down their entire season. It's they had to postpone every game through Sunday. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen with the baseball schedule. I'll probably report on that next week. But it's crazy. And as long as we have something to get us through this time. And I think that's why I got kind of emotional with the NBA, seeing it return. Some people aren't the biggest NBA fans. Some of them have gotten turned off from the NBA because of the Black Lives Matter stance that the NBA has, which I don't understand why people would really stop watching sports just because athletes are political. They've always been. But, yeah, I mean, hey, it's your life. You can do what you want. I just don't understand, but you can do what you want. So, now, it is time for the theme of the week, and this theme of the week, is consistency. Yes, you got to be consistent, folks. You got to be consistent with something. This can easily turn into a rant about routine, but there's a difference between routine and consistency. You need to have consistency in order to create routines. The first step is consistency. And then if you're consistent enough, you create that routine. So I'm talking about before you can even establish a routine, just staying consistent. And honestly, the hardest part is just taking that first step with being consistent. Setting the reminders on your phone. If it's just going for a run every morning. If it's just making your bed every morning. If it's just, checking your horoscope every morning, or if you're religious, praying every night, or something. It's all about checking yourself, constantly checking in with yourself too. Because sometimes, if you don't feel like doing something, there's a deeper reason why. If you don't feel like getting up and running, there might be a deeper reason why. And it might not be that deep. It might just be, I went to bed at 3 a.m. last night. I don't want to get up at 9 and run. Right? Or it could be, I've been having a really shitty week and I just really don't want to get out of this bed because all I want to do is stay here all day long. And at that point, if you're struggling with anything like that, I suggest to put on some happy music. Some happy music gets you upbeat, gets you moving. Get yourself out of bed. Stay consistent, people. Stay consistent. That is how you get through this time. That is my advice to you for this week. Stay consistent in something. Make sure that you do something every day or every other day or however often you want to do it, but something that you look forward to every day because it helps a lot. And eventually it'll become a routine and you don't even have to think about it anymore. So that is my advice to you. I am now off my soapbox. All right, my fellow closers. That has been this 6th episode of Closing Out the Week, of Season 2, of Closing Out the Week, I should say. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are the Closers Podcast. Like, share, and comment on our videos. It helps us a lot. Please also follow us on Instagram at The Closers Podcast. And we also have a Facebook page. Please like that page to stay up to date with everything. We are on there at Closers Podcast. And I will be back on Wednesday, actually. I will be back on Wednesday with Brianna Carmel. We're going to talk about some music industry related stuff. A lot of allegations being levied against some pretty big bands. We're going to talk about that. And Quinn will be at you on Monday. And then we're going to do this all over again next Friday. Hopefully I can keep it light next week too. But till then, I bid you an adieu. Love you. Have a great weekend.